football clubs.
Brentford play at the new Brentford Community Stadium, which was ready for action just as they entered the Premier League. They've not spent much time in the top flight, so are they a big club?
Subscribe now to see how they compare with other big football clubs.
With no major domestic honours, along with a few other clubs, and one of the lowest attendances in the current Premier League, comparing these numbers with other current Premier League sides gives the appearance that Brentford are one of the smallest clubs. But let's look at some more details. Brentford have been champions 6 times now. In all their history, whilst they've won minor honours, Brentford have not won any of the major competitions in English football. They are also still awaiting their first shot at European football. However, they have won all of the lower league championships, their best being the 2nd Division title, then 2 3rd Division titles, and a hat-trick of 4th Division titles. The new stadium proves Brentford are a growing club. With one of the smaller stadiums in the lower divisions, Brentford started far off the top flight average, but their rise through the divisions saw this increase until they matched the top flight average in their glory years during the 1930s. Their gradual decline after the war coincided with falling support, but their FA Cup 6-round fixture against Leicester City in 1949 was an exception and is still their record. Unable to watch the decline, fans left the stadium almost bare, with record lows going into the 50s and 60s, with only slightly better turnouts in some seasons. So much time spent in the lower divisions meant attendances did not recover for a good few decades. Not surprisingly, this hit an all-time low in 2008 when Brentford hit their lowest point in the 4th Division. But from 2009 there was a gradual increase and a big jump after promotion to the 2nd Division in 2015. Although still far off the big club average, attendances stabilised around the 10,000 mark. In 2020, the new stadium was ready for Brentford's return to top-flight football. This enabled them to reach numbers not achieved since the 1950s, but this is still far off the top-flight average. It would take a number of seasons back in the top flight for the stadium to be increased any further. We proved we could get the ultimate prize in the biggest of matches. Brentford's most memorable match is a recent one, the 2021 player final taking them to the Premier League, their first time in the top flight for 74 years. Crowds were low, but this was down to COVID restrictions at the time. We've got classic players spanning the decades. When selecting Brentford's best ever players, we need to include players from their strongest league finishes in the 1930s, with a strong bias to the defence and attack. We have a couple of players from the 80s and Saunders from the more recent promotion, and cult hero Terry Evans. As they were promoted to the Premier League in 2021, it is a little early to add some of those players to a best ever 11 until they're inducted into the club's Hall of Fame. In 2020, Brentford got back to where they belong. After their entry into the Football League, Brentford hired Harry Curtis in 1926. The governor inspired them to improving finishes for 10 years straight, including a 5th place finish in Division 1, which is still their best ever league position. The period after the war ended up in relegation, and this was the end of his spell at the club. From then on there was a decline, especially when hit by financial difficulties in the 50s, and most of their time from then on was spent in the 3rd Division. When relegated to the 4th, they did recover by winning that championship, but found themselves between the lower divisions for some time. From 1978, neither promotion nor relegation was on the cards until Brentford won the 3rd Division title in 1992, but finishes from then on were inconsistent. This led to some spells again in the 4th Division. 2009 marked the beginning of their great recovery. Brentford won the 4th Division and achieved rising finishes until 2015. They had now established themselves as a solid 2nd Division side, and in 2021 finally won their playoff to gain promotion to the top flight after a break of 74 years. Brentford are a club who have spent most of their time in the lower divisions, but have had 2 periods at the top. They did not manage to win a major trophy at their strongest period, so still waiting for their first. And the same goes for European football. There was a brief period in the 30s when they matched the top flight average attendances, but after so long in the lower divisions this was bound to stay low. The new larger stadium has a capacity still far off the Premier League average, but numbers are certainly encouraging. Brentford have not been well known for big matches, but there is no doubt their playoff win against Swansea changed the club's fortunes in the modern era. Brentford have some familiar names, and players in their current squad may well go on to make a legendary 11. But we cannot say they've had world-class players to rival the very biggest clubs. Brentford are a club who have already had experience in the top flight, but their return to the top may be seen as a surprise to the football world. Since their fall so long ago, they have spent most of their time not challenging for major titles, and other London clubs have risen above them. It's unlikely they'll ever be able to mount sustained challenges to them, and they have a long way to go to become one of England's
big football clubs.
With Brentford struggling to make an impact since the 30s, which of their London rivals can they compare with?
Please comment below. Like and subscribe to Big Football Clubs to watch videos as they're released each week.